The stars had always called to humanity. For thousands of years, people looked up at the night sky and dreamed of what lay beyond. They built rockets, space stations, and finally, ships that could travel between stars. In the year 2347, that dream became real. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. Admiral Park Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Hope of Earth. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years in space, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Through the viewport, he could see the planet Volantis, home of the Galactic Council. The planet was beautiful. Its surface glowed with purple and blue lights from massive cities. Thousands of ships moved around it, like fireflies. This was the center of galactic civilization, where 12 ancient species had ruled for 10,000 years. "Admiral, we have permission to land," said Commander Kang Yuna. She was younger than Tae-ho, with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She had been his second in command for 5 years. Tae-ho nodded slowly. "This is the moment we have waited for, Yuna. Today, humanity joins the galaxy." The ship descended through clouds of pink and gold. They landed on a platform made of crystal that seemed to float in the air. Alien guards waited for them. Tall creatures with 4 arms and skin like polished metal. They were Valith, the oldest and most powerful species in the council. Tae-ho and Yuna walked between the guards. They entered a building that stretched high into the sky. Inside, the walls were made of living light that shifted and changed color. The air smelled sweet, like flowers from another world. The council chamber was enormous. 12 platforms floated in a circle, each holding representatives of a different species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Tae-ho could not understand how they were alive. In the center, a beam of white light marked where visitors must stand. Tae-ho stepped into the light. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his face calm. He had practiced his speech 100 times. He would offer friendship, trade, and cooperation. Humanity had so much to give and so much to learn. "I am Park Tae-ho, representative of the human species from the planet Earth," he said. His voice echoed in the vast chamber. "We come in peace. We seek to join the community of civilizations and share in the wonders of the galaxy." Silence followed his words. Then the Valith elder spoke. His voice was cold and ancient, like wind blowing through dead trees. "We know of your kind, human. We have watched you for many cycles. We have seen your history." A hologram appeared in the air. It showed images from Earth's past. Wars, explosions, cities burning, soldiers marching, weapons of terrible power. "You are a violent species," the elder continued. "In just 10,000 years, you have killed billions of your own kind. You create weapons faster than you create art. You conquer faster than you cooperate." Tae-ho felt cold. "Elder, those are our mistakes. We have learned from them. We are different now. Are you?" Another voice spoke, a creature that looked like a giant insect with wings of glass. "Your ships carry weapons. Your soldiers train even now. You speak of peace, but you prepare for war." "We prepare to defend ourselves," Yuna said, stepping forward. "Any species would do the same." Silence. The Valith elder raised one of his 4 hands. "The human female will not speak unless spoken to." Tae-ho saw Yuna's jaw tighten with anger, but she said nothing. The elder continued. "We have made our decision. Humanity is too dangerous. Your creativity is wild and uncontrolled. Your ambition has no limits. If we allow you to grow among us, you will eventually destroy everything we have built. Please," Tae-ho said, "give us a chance to prove ourselves." "The Council does not give chances. The Council protects the galaxy." The elder's eyes glowed with cold light. "Humanity is banished. You will leave Council space immediately. You will travel to the outer rim, beyond our borders. You will not return. Any human ship that enters Council space will be destroyed." The words hit Tae-ho like a physical blow. Banished. Cast out. Thrown into the darkness. The outer rim is a wasteland, he said. There is nothing there. No habitable planets. No resources. You are sending us to die. That is not our concern, the elder said. Perhaps you will survive. Perhaps you will not. Either way, the galaxy will be safe from humanity. The guards moved forward. The audience was over. As they were escorted back to their ship, Yuna walked close to Tejo. Her voice was barely a whisper. They did not even listen. They had already decided before we arrived. Yes, Tejo said. His sadness was turning to something else. Something harder. They were afraid of us, Yuna. They looked at our history and saw only violence. They did not see our courage, our ability to adapt, our refusal to give up. What do we do now? Tejo looked back at the crystal towers of Volantis. He knew he would never see them again. But somehow, that thought did not break him. It made him stronger. We survive, he said. We go to the outer rim, and we build. We grow. We become everything they feared we would become. And then, Tejo smiled, but there was no warmth in it. And then, someday, we come back. Not for revenge, for justice. They wanted us gone because they knew what we could become. We will show them they were right. The hope of Earth lifted off from Volantis. Behind it, 100 other human ships waited. They had come with dreams of friendship. They left with something else, a purpose, a determination that burned like fire. The outer rim waited for them, dark, cold, and empty. But humanity had faced darkness before. They had always found a way to bring light. As the fleet jumped into hyperspace, Yuna stood beside her admiral. Do you really believe we can survive out there? End quote. Tejo watched the stars stretch and blur. I believe that humanity has never known when to quit. And I believe that will be our greatest weapon. The galaxy had rejected them. But the galaxy did not understand what it had done. It had not destroyed humanity. It had set them free. 50 years had passed since the exile. 50 years of struggle, pain, and survival. The outer rim had tried to kill humanity. It had failed. Director Lee Siwoo stood on the observation deck of Station Prime, looking down at the planet below. Once, it had been a dead world, no air, no water, just endless gray rock under a dim red sun. Now, green and blue spread across its surface like paint on canvas. Cities sparkled with light. Rivers flowed where there had been only dust. Terraform complete, said his assistant, reading from a tablet. New Sol is now fully habitable. Population capacity, 50 million. Siwoo nodded slowly. This was the 20th planet they had transformed. 20 dead worlds brought back to life by human hands and human will. How many more can we do? He asked. With our current resources, at least 30 in the next decade. Siwoo smiled. The Council had sent humanity to die in the wasteland. Instead, humanity had turned the wasteland into a garden. On the research station orbiting a distant star, Dr. Choi Nyon worked through another sleepless night. She was surrounded by screens, showing equations and diagrams. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago. She did not notice. It is not possible, her colleague said. He was a young man named Baek Junho, an engineer with clever hands and a doubtful mind. You are trying to pull energy from nothing. Not nothing, Nyon said. Her eyes never left the screens. The vacuum of space is not empty. It is full of energy that appears and disappears in tiny fractions of time. If we can capture that energy, then we have unlimited power, Junho finished. But the math does not work. The math is wrong. Nyon finally looked at him. There was fire in her tired eyes. The math was written by species who accepted limits. Humans do not accept limits. 3 months later, Nyon proved everyone wrong. The first zero-point reactor came online on a small moon, called Hope. It was the size of a building and produced more energy than a star. Within a year, reactors were powering every human colony. The energy crisis that had threatened their survival was over. "You did the impossible," Siwoo told her at the celebration. Nayeon shook her head. "I did what humans do. I refused to give up. I did what humans do." While scientists built and inventors created, others prepared for darker possibilities. General Yoon Hana had been a young soldier during the exile. She had watched the council dismiss her people like insects. She had sworn that would never happen again. Her training camp sat on a frozen moon where temperatures dropped below anything survivable. Soldiers trained in suits that barely kept them alive. They fought in blizzards, in darkness, in conditions that would kill any council species in minutes. "Why do we train like this?" a young recruit once asked her. Hana looked at him with hard eyes. "Because comfort makes you weak. The council species live in perfect worlds with perfect weather. They have forgotten how to suffer. We never had that luxury. Our suffering is our strength." She built the human defense force from nothing. Her soldiers could survive anywhere, fight anything, adapt to any situation. They were not the largest army in the galaxy, but they were the most dangerous. Not all of humanity's growth came from within. The Outer Rim was home to others who had been cast out by the Council. Ambassador Oh Minho was the first to find them. His ship detected a weak signal from a dying vessel. Inside, he found creatures unlike anything he had seen. Beings with shells like stones and eyes that glowed in the dark. They were Krivan, a species the Council had banished 300 years ago for refusing to pay tribute. "We are dying," their leader said. "Our ship has no fuel. Our people have no food. We did not expect anyone to answer our signal. Minho could have left them. The humans had barely enough for themselves. But he remembered how it felt to be abandoned. "Come with us," he said. "We have a colony not far from here. We do not have much, but we will share what we have." The Krivan wept. They had been alone for so long. They had forgotten that kindness existed. Word spread through the Outer Rim. Other abandoned species heard of the humans who helped strangers. The Delosi came. Next, aquatic beings, who could only live in special water-filled chambers. Then the Fen, nomads who wandered between stars in ancient ships. Then others, one by one. Minho did not turn anyone away. He met each group personally, learned their languages, understood their cultures. He offered them not charity, but partnership. "Join us," he said to each one. "Not as servants, as equals. Together, we can build something the Council never imagined." They called it the Terran Coalition. It began as a loose alliance of survivors. It grew into something much more. By the end of the 50 years, humanity was no longer alone. They had allies who believed in them, who fought beside them, who called humans family. The forgotten species of the Outer Rim had become one people. Engineer Junho had not stopped working since Nayeon's breakthrough. With unlimited energy, he could build anything. His latest creation floated in space, a ship unlike anything that had existed before. Traditional ships bend space to travel, he explained to the gathered officers. Council ships can cross the galaxy in weeks. This ship can do it in hours. The officers were silent. Then General Hana spoke. "How fast, exactly?" "Fast enough that if we wanted to reach Council space tomorrow, we could." Junho's voice was calm, but his eyes showed his pride. "Fast enough that they would never see us coming." Director Siwoo looked at the ship for a long time. It was beautiful and terrible, a weapon and a promise. "We are not ready," he said finally. "Not yet. But the day will come when we need this." "The day will come," Hana agreed. "And when it does, we will be ready." 50 years had passed. Humanity had gone from exiles to empire builders. They had turned death into life, weakness into strength, loneliness into brotherhood. The council believed they were dying. The council was wrong. Far away, in the comfortable halls of Volantis, the Valeth Elder received his regular report on the Outer Rim. It showed scattered settlements, primitive technology, a species slowly fading away. He nodded with satisfaction and filed the report away. Humanity was no longer a concern. He could not have been more wrong. 100 years after the exile, the Terran coalition was no longer a collection of survivors. It was an empire. But it was an empire that no one knew existed. Chancellor Lim Unbi sat in her office on the capital world of New Terra. Outside her window, towers of glass and steel rose into a perfect blue sky. Ships moved between floating platforms. Millions of people went about their lives in peace and prosperity. She was the 5th chancellor since the exile. Unlike the ancient rulers of the council, she had been elected by the people. Every citizen of the coalition, human or alien, had voted for her. She served them, not the other way around. The new population numbers, Chancellor, said her assistant. 312 systems, 47 billion citizens. Growth rate remains steady. Unbi nodded. The numbers were good, but numbers were not what mattered. What mattered was that every one of those citizens had food, shelter, education, and hope. What mattered was that the abandoned children of the galaxy had become a family. And the council? They still see nothing. Director Han's work continues to be effective. Director Han Do-hun was the head of Coalition Intelligence. He was a quiet man who smiled often and said little. He was also the most dangerous person in the Outer Rim. His office was deep underground, in a bunker that did not appear on any map. Hundreds of screens covered the walls, showing feeds from across the galaxy. Some showed council meetings. Some showed military movements. Some showed things that the council themselves did not know were being recorded. Report, he said to his team. The Valeth believe we have approximately 30,000 people left, said an analyst. They think we live in caves on dead moons. What are they seeing? Exactly what we want them to see. Do-hun had created the greatest deception in galactic history. Fake settlements that looked primitive. False signals that suggested dying technology. Ships designed to look weak and slow whenever they were observed. The Council's spies saw a species on the edge of extinction. They did not see the shipyards hidden in nebulas. They did not see the fleets training in the dark space between stars. They did not see the technology that had surpassed their own generations ago. Maintain the illusion, Do-hun said. The time is not yet right. Captain Shin Woojin had made the illusion possible. He was the inventor of the cloaking technology that hid the Coalition's true strength. The new shields are ready, he reported to the military council. A ship using this system can pass within visual range of a council vessel. They will see nothing. Their sensors will detect nothing. It is as if we do not exist. General Yoon Hana, now old but still fierce, studied the demonstration. A coalition warship vanished from every screen, from every sensor, from every detection system known to exist. How many ships have this technology? All of them, Woojin said with a small smile. Every ship in the fleet. Hana nodded slowly. She had spent her entire life preparing for a war she hoped would never come. But if it did come, her people would be ready. Show me the fleet, she said. The screens changed. Numbers appeared. Ship types, weapon systems, crew counts. The Coalition fleet had grown beyond anything the Council could imagine. 10,000 warships, 50,000 support vessels, 5 million trained soldiers from a dozen species, weapons that could crack planets, shields that could stop stars. If we attacked tomorrow, could we win? Someone asked. Yes, Hana said simply. We could destroy the Council in weeks. Their technology is ancient. Their tactics have not changed in centuries. They have become lazy. Then why do we wait? It was Chancellor Unbi who answered. She had entered the room quietly, as was her habit. Because winning a war is easy. Building a lasting peace is hard. She walked to the center of the room. looking at the screens that showed so much power. My grandmother was on the ship that was banished. She told me what the council said. They called us dangerous because we were creative, violent because we were passionate. They judged us before they knew us. She turned to face the officers. If we attack without cause, we prove them right. We become the monsters they feared. I will not let that happen. Then we do nothing? Hana asked. There was no anger in her voice, only curiosity. We wait. We watch. We grow stronger. Unbi's eyes were calm, but determined. And when the day comes that we must act, we act with justice, not revenge. We show the galaxy that they were wrong about us. The military leaders nodded. They understood. Power without wisdom was just destruction. They had not built an empire to burn it down. In the lower levels of the coalition government, Ambassador O Minho worked on a different kind of strength. He was very old now, but his mind was sharp as ever. The Delosi have finished their water world, he reported in a council meeting. The Crivane mining operations have doubled production. The Fen have mapped 17 new trade routes. And their loyalty? Someone asked. Minho smiled. They are not loyal because we command them. They are loyal because we gave them hope. Because we treated them as equals when everyone else threw them away. You cannot buy that kind of loyalty. You can only earn it. The coalition was not just a human empire. It was a union of the forgotten. Every species had a voice. Every culture was respected. Every individual had value. That was what made them strong. Not their ships or weapons or technology. Their unity. Far from New Terra, a young pilot named Song Jimin flew patrol on the border of coalition space. She was human, but her co-pilot was Krivan, and her engineer was Fen. They had served together for 5 years. They were family. Contact, the Krivan said. His name was impossible for humans to pronounce, so they called him Stone. Council patrol ship. They have crossed into neutral space. Jimin watched the council vessel on her screen. It was large and ornate, covered in gold and crystal. It looked like a palace. It moved like it owned the universe. They are scanning, the Fen said. Her voice was like music. Should we engage cloaking? Yes. Jimin activated the system. Her ship vanished from every sensor. The council vessel swept past, seeing nothing, detecting nothing. It continued on, confident in its power. They are blind, Stone observed. They do not know we are here. They do not know anything, Jimin said quietly. They think we are dead. They think they won. She watched the council ship disappear into the distance. Someday, they would learn the truth. Someday, they would see what humanity had become, but not today. Today, the Shadow Empire waited. It watched. It grew. And when the time came, it would rise. The message came in the middle of the night. Admiral Quan He-jin was pulled from sleep by urgent alarms. Within minutes, he was on the bridge of his flagship, the Spirit of Earth. What do we have? He demanded. Distress signals, Admiral. Hundreds of them. Coming from neutral space near the council border. The screens filled with images, ships burning, escape pods tumbling through the void, bodies floating among the debris. It was a massacre. Who did this? The answer came as a council transmission, broadcast openly for anyone to hear. A Valeth commander stood on his bridge, surrounded by destruction. Let this be a lesson to all who resist the council. These 3 species refused to submit to Valeth authority. They chose defiance. They chose death. He-jin felt his hands tighten into fists. 3 species, wiped out, for the crime of wanting to be free. Admiral, we have survivors. Their course suggests they are heading toward the outer rim. Toward us. How many? Approximately 12,000 ships. Maybe 1 million people. 1 million refugees. Fleeing toward a sanctuary they did not know existed. He-jin made his decision instantly. Set intercept course. Signal all ships in the sector. We are going to save those people. The rescue operation took 3 days. Coalition ships dropped their cloaking and revealed themselves to the terrified refugees. At first, there was panic. Then, confusion. Then, slowly, hope. "We thought humans were gone," said a young female from one of the rescued species. "We thought you all died long ago. We thought—" "We did not die," Hagen told her gently. "We waited." Among the refugees was someone unexpected. A Valith named Oris, who had stolen a small shuttle and fled his own people. He was young for his kind, barely 500 years old, with eyes full of shame. "I could not be part of it anymore," he said when Hagen questioned him. "I watched my people murder children. I watched them burn worlds. This is not what the Council was supposed to be." What was the Council supposed to be? Protectors. Guides. We were supposed to help younger species grow, not destroy them when they became inconvenient. Oris looked down at his 4 hands. "But the elders have become corrupt. They see themselves as gods. They fear any species that might challenge them. Is that why they banished humanity? Yes. You were growing too fast, learning too quickly. In 1,000 years, you would have matched us. The elders decided it was better to kill you slowly in the outer rim than face you as equals." Hagen absorbed this information. It confirmed what many had suspected. But there was more. "I brought data," Oris continued, "stolen from the Council archives, plans, military strategies, and something else." His voice dropped to a whisper. "They are planning to finish what they started. A fleet is being prepared to enter the outer rim and destroy any remaining humans. They call it the final cleansing." Chancellor Unbi called an emergency session of the Coalition Assembly. Representatives from every species gathered in the Great Hall. The mood was tense. The evidence from Oris was displayed for all to see. "They mean to kill us all," said a Krivan representative. "Not just humans. All of us. Anyone who has allied with humanity. We knew this day might come," said a Delosi elder, his voice bubbling through the water of his chamber. "The question is, what do we do?" Unbi stood at the center of the hall. She had not slept in 2 days. The weight of this decision pressed on her like a physical force. "For 100 years, we have hidden. We have built. We have grown. We did this because we hoped to avoid war. We hoped the Council would change, or weaken, or simply forget about us." She paused, looking at the faces around her. "That hope is gone." She turned to a screen that showed their military strength. 10,000 warships, millions of soldiers, technology beyond anything the Council possessed. "We have the power to destroy them," she said. "But that is not who we are. We will not commit genocide. We will not become the monsters they believed us to be." "Then what do you propose?" asked General Yun Hana. She was the oldest person in the room, one of the last survivors from the original exile. "We reveal ourselves. We show the galaxy what we have become, and we give the Council a choice. Peace or war. Justice or destruction." Unbi's voice grew stronger. "We did not start this, but we will finish it, on our terms." The vote was unanimous. The coalition would act. 3 days later, in a coordinated operation across 40 star systems, coalition forces revealed themselves. They did not attack military targets. They did not fire a single weapon. Instead, they disabled every Council border station simultaneously. Shields went down. Weapons powered off. Communications were blocked. Then the stations received a message. A single video broadcast to every screen. Chancellor Unbi stood alone against a backdrop of stars. Behind her, barely visible, was the shadow of a massive fleet. "People of the galaxy. My name is Lim Unbi. I am the Chancellor of the Terran Coalition." She paused, letting the words sink in. 100 years ago, your Council banished humanity to die in the darkness. They called us dangerous, violent, unworthy of a place among civilized species. They were wrong. The image shifted to show coalition worlds. Beautiful planets. Thriving cities. Happy people of many species living together. We did not die. We built. We grew. We welcomed others who had been abandoned by the Council. Today, we are 300 systems strong. We are billions of people from dozens of species. We are the family that the galaxy threw away. The image shifted again. Now it showed the fleet. Ship after ship after ship, stretching to the horizon. Power beyond imagination. Your council plans to destroy us. We know this because one of their own could no longer stomach their cruelty. We could have waited for them to attack. We could have destroyed them in response. Instead, we chose to act first. The image returned to Yunbi's face. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with intensity. We have disabled your border stations. No one was harmed. We could have killed millions. We chose not to. This is who humanity is. This is what we have become. She leaned forward slightly. We do not seek conquest. We do not want revenge. We want justice. We want equality. We want a galaxy where no species is thrown away, because the powerful fear them. Her voice hardened. But make no mistake. If you come for us, we will defend ourselves. If you threaten our people, we will respond. We have spent 100 years preparing for this moment. Your ancient fleets are no match for what we have built. She let silence hang for a moment. The choice is yours. Send your armies against us and watch them fall. Or accept that the galaxy has changed. Accept that humanity has risen. And perhaps, together, we can build something better than what came before. The broadcast ended. Across council space, billions of beings stared at their screens in shock. The humans were alive. The humans had an empire. The humans had a fleet that made council forces look like toys. Everything was about to change. The council did not listen. They could not believe that the species they had thrown away could pose any real threat. Their pride was too great. Their fear, too strong. The Valeth Elder called every member species to war. The largest fleet in galactic history assembled above the ancient world of Volantis Prime. 15,000 ships gathered, bristling with weapons that had conquered 100 worlds. Commanders who had never known defeat looked upon their armada with absolute confidence. We will crush this human rebellion in days, the Elder announced. We will burn their worlds and scatter their ashes. The galaxy will learn that the Council cannot be defied. The fleet entered the outer rim like a wave of fire. Fleet Admiral Park Jiwan watched them come. She was the granddaughter of Teho, the admiral who had stood before the Council a century ago and received humanity's sentence of exile. She had grown up hearing stories of that day. Now she would write the ending. They outnumber us, said her tactical officer. 15,000 to our 10,000. Numbers mean nothing. Jiwan replied calmly. They have numbers. We have unity. We have purpose. And we have spent 100 years learning how to fight. The two fleets met near a gas giant called Azure. The Council forces advanced in their ancient formations. The same tactics they had used for 10,000 years. They had never needed to change. No one had ever challenged them. Until now. The coalition fleet moved as one. Ships from a dozen species flew together in perfect coordination. Human captains commanded vessels crewed by Krivan, Delosi, and Fen. They knew each other's strengths. They covered each other's weaknesses. They were not an army. They were a family. The first wave of Council ships opened fire. Their weapons were powerful, capable of destroying moons. They expected the human ships to burn. The shots passed through empty space. The coalition fleet had already moved, shifting position in an instant, using technology the Council had never seen. Before the Council gunners could adjust, coalition ships were among them, inside their formations, too close for their heavy weapons to track. Fire, Jiwan said. Coalition weapons were not designed to destroy. They were designed to disable. Precise beams struck engine systems and weapon batteries. Ships went dark, drifting helplessly. Crews watched in shock as their vessels became lifeless metal without a single casualty. The battle lasted 3 days. The Council threw everything they had against the Coalition. It was not enough. Human tactics changed constantly, adapting to every move. Allied species supported each other with skills developed over decades of cooperation. Soldiers who had trained in the harshest conditions the galaxy could offer fought with calm precision. By the end, 12,000 Council ships drifted dead in space. Their crews were alive, but helpless. The Great Armada that was supposed to destroy humanity had been defeated without the Coalition losing a single vessel. Admiral G1 broadcast to the Council fleet on an open channel. Your ships are disabled. Your weapons are offline. We could destroy you all with a thought. Instead, we offer you survival. Surrender and live. Continue fighting and die. The choice is yours. The Council fleet surrendered. The final meeting took place on Volantis Prime, in the same crystal chamber where humanity had been condemned. Chancellor Unbi walked through the ancient halls, surrounded by Coalition soldiers of every species. She wore simple clothes, not the robes of a conqueror. The Valeth Elder waited for her. He was old beyond human understanding, but for the first time in his long life, he knew fear. He expected execution. He expected revenge. It was what he would have done. Your fleet is destroyed, Unbi said, stopping before him. Your empire has fallen. Your council has been shown to be weak, cruel, and corrupt. By every law of war, I could have you killed. The elder closed his eyes. Then do it. Do what we would have done to you. No. The word was soft but firm. That is the difference between us. The elder opened his eyes, confused. Unbi continued. 100 years ago, you judged humanity based on our worst moments. You saw our wars and our violence, and decided we were monsters. You never bothered to look deeper. You never saw our compassion, our creativity, our ability to change. She gestured to the soldiers behind her. Human, Krivan, Delasi, Fen, and others. Standing together, equal. We took the species you abandoned and built a family. We turned the wasteland you sent us to into paradise. We created technology you cannot understand, and chose not to use it for destruction. We won this war without committing a single atrocity. She stepped closer to the elder. You were right to fear us. But you were wrong about why. You should not have feared our violence. You should have feared our mercy. Because mercy is harder than cruelty. Justice is harder than revenge. And we are strong enough to do what is hard. The elder stared at her for a long moment. What do you want? Who? I want to build something new. The council was built on fear and power. It controlled through threats and punishment. That system is over. In its place, we will create the United Stellar Commonwealth, a true democracy. Every species with an equal voice. No more masters and servants. No more chosen ones and outcasts. And the council species? The Valeth? Unbi smiled. It was a warm smile, genuine and unexpected. You will have a seat at the table. The same as everyone else. No more, no less. You will have to earn respect instead of demanding it. You will have to cooperate instead of command. It will be difficult for you. She paused. But we will help. That is what families do. The new government was born that day. It took years to build, with endless debates and compromises and difficult conversations. But it held together, because it was built on something the old council never had: trust. The coalition species had learned to trust each other through decades of shared struggle. That trust became the foundation of a new civilization. Problems were solved through discussion, not force. Disagreements were resolved through compromise, not war. General Yoon Hana lived to see the new era begin. She was 160 years old when she finally retired. On her last day in uniform, she stood before a memorial that had been built on New Terra. It listed the names of everyone who had been on the exile fleet. A young soldier found her there. "General, are you all right?" Hana smiled. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was strong. "I have spent my entire life preparing for a war that I hoped would never come. Today, I know it will never come. That is worth a few tears. What happens now?" "Now?" Hana looked up at the sky, where ships from a dozen species moved in peace. "Now we build. We explore. We learn. We become everything we always could have been, not because we conquered, because we earned it." Across the galaxy, the story of humanity spread. The species that had been thrown away, the exiles who built an empire, the warriors who won with mercy. It became legend, then myth, then something more. On 1,000 worlds, a saying took hold. It was spoken by children and elders, by humans and aliens, by all who had learned what humanity truly was. Never exile a human. They will only return stronger. Chancellor Unbi served 3 terms before she retired. She spent her final years writing the history of the exile and what came after. Her last words were written the day before she died, on a sunny afternoon on New Terra. "We were cast into darkness, and we built light. We were told we were monsters, and we proved them wrong. We were given nothing, and we created everything. This is what humanity is. This is what we will always be. Not perfect, not gods, just people who refuse to give up. And in the end, that was enough." The book was distributed to every world in the Commonwealth. It was translated into 100 languages. It became required reading for every child. And somewhere, in the great library on Volantis Prime, a young Valith scholar read it for the first time. When she finished, she looked out at the stars and understood something her ancestors never had. Humanity had not been a threat to be feared. They had been a gift to be welcomed. And the galaxy was finally ready to accept them. The exile was over. The empire had risen, and the future belonged to everyone.